Hello and welcome. My name is Meepolis, they, he, she. And today's pick is the comic book Bible, written by Toni, illustrated by Piconyol, inked by Carlos Rojas, and published by Silver Dolphin Books in 2013. Content notes for murder, slavery, killing children, and crucifixion. I picked this book up because I am a Christian, and it's been a minute since I have reviewed anything Bible-related. I did not predict it would be terribly edifying, but that just meant I was not disappointed. If you want a halfway decent comic interpretation of the Bible, my recommendation remains with the Lego Bible. The summary over on Goodreads is, quote, with the comic book Bible, pictures tell the story in comic book form. Children ages 6 and up will see the marvelous animals created by God, meet Adam and Eve and the serpent, discover the timeless tale of Cain and Abel, and learn about many other important stories. Adapted from passages from the books of the Old and New Testament, this innovative Bible includes the stories parents want their children to know, but in a format that kids will understand and want to read again and again. End quote. Looking at the writing, I wasn't able to find any particular information about Toni, at least in English, although the wording appears to be customized enough in order not to credit any particular Bible translation? ? Commenting on the structure of this Bible, Matas highlights some of the most popular Bible stories, condensing them each into 2-page spreads. This sometimes works fine, but sometimes ended up with fairly noticeable omissions. Some of the most eye-rolling for me was not mentioning Rahab at all in the story of the destruction of Jericho, Jonah didn't throw a temper tantrum when the people of Nineveh repented, and King David only talks with Bathsheba before having her husband murdered so he can force her to marry him. Overall, I would argue that the role of women is generally downplayed and often entirely omitted, particularly if the woman is not perfectly respectable. Delilah is included, but that is likely because it's fine to show sexual women as bad. In contrast, we can't even include the Magnificat, apparently. Matas also massages the text to perpetuate the idea that the First Testament was predicting the arrival of Jesus specifically, including a double-page spread of Isaiah illustrated with scenes of super white Jesus himself. And wrapping things up on the writing front, I was unsurprised by the simplistic look at the healing ministry of Jesus, the depiction of disability and healing in the Bible, and the way it's generally interpreted in my time and place directly leads to a lot of ableism. TLDR, it's worth questioning. Moving along to the art, we have Josep Luis Martinez, also known by the pen name Piconyol, who, according to Wikipedia, was a self-taught cartoonist who lived from 1948 to 2021 in Spain. Extremely prolific, Piconyol's most popular character was apparently Aut el Brujat. There's a couple of Carlos Rojas's bouncing around the art scene, and none seem like a clear contender for anchor of this book, so we're skipping over that for now. But yeah, the art. Technically, it's fine. A bit dull, and very, 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 very whitewashed, but on a technical level, it's fine. Surprisingly, unsurprisingly, women don't have underarm hair, which literally makes no sense. Men at least have some cross-hatching under the arms to suggest underarm hair. We also have the so-called bad dudes who die in Noah's flood and the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, who are shown with very queer-coded eye makeup and chin-strap goatees. Okay, I'm not sure if the latter is queer-coded, but it does apparently signal bad guy in these people's minds. This may make sense to people who still think that the reason Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed was because of the gays, but that ignores the fact that in Ezekiel, God says the sin of Sodom was pride, excess, and not aiding the poor and needy. On a slightly more trivial / nitpicky note, circling back to the very beginning, they also depicted the snake that tempts Eve to eat the apple as a pretty traditional snake throughout, with no explanation for the curse God places on them to crawl on their belly, which they could have easily omitted if they didn't want to address it. I'm not sure is the most academic explanation, but growing up it was usually explained to me that the snake had legs before the curse, which they then lost, and that at least makes some narrative sense. According to the comic book, this mostly seems to mean that snakes lived in trees before and on the ground after. Although the modern obsession with literally interpreting Genesis could be a much longer video. I have not found a comic book on the topic though, so you are all saved for now. Touching on the last few identity things I tried to highlight in each of my reviews, we don't talk about class at all, and place played an even more trivial role than women. Unsurprisingly for everyone at this point, I am rating this volume 1 star. Please save yourself and read the Lego Bible instead. Bye y'all, keep reading, and stand with striking workers. And Literally Graphic is created on land that should be given back to the traditional landholders. which in this case is, to my knowledge, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and Anishinaabe people, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat Nation.